Welcome back to the BigCheese AI Podcast. I'm here today with a couple of guys you might know. Jacob.
What's up, guys?
And Brandonian.
Hey, everybody.
All right, let's just get right to it, okay? Boom. Stop the mic. Stop the recording. Stop everything. Hey, welcome to our 37th different version of our studio. How you guys doing?
Good. Nice job on getting this all set up. New lights.
Yeah. As you guys were literally helping me set the whole thing up.
Well, it's been, 3 weeks since we last spoke. Have you guys been doing anything new with AI?
No, not at all. I've really started using Claude Code as my main driver. I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago I started dabbling with it, and Cursor's great, but I just think Claude Code's superior.
Where do you see that it is accelerating versus Cursor?
Cursor seems to be more verbose and I don't know. I just feel like the results I'm getting, it's just like a gut check kind of thing where it's like, well, I just feel like I'm more productive in Claude Code.
Cursor, you also have no idea really which models are running, what models are going. I assume with Cursor, with Claude Code, you're pretty much relegated to, Sonnet.
And Claude Code just tends to stay within the scope and context of what I'm trying to do better. Like Cursor, I've noticed recently, I'm like, why did we edit that file? We're not even talking about that file. It's not even open.
Dude,
now.
Cursor's been going wild. I don't know. So have you been doing much with Cursor on it?
Yeah, unfortunately, I've been in Cursor constantly for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You've got some really cool workflows in Cursor right now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I've got something that's working for me right now. I also am about 10 times less productive when I start getting throttled.
Oh yeah, you got throttled.
I'm getting throttled, and I don't know how to get unthrottled.
See, what's fascinating is I have yet to get throttled on Cursor. Now, again, I'm only paying the $20 a month too. Now, I'm not using it like where
I tried to pay them $1,000 a month. I can't. They're the only subscription they're offering on their website is $20 a month.
And isn't there like the pay as you go kind of like?
Yeah, but that's not a base subscription.
No, so I don't know why. But I don't let it kind of go crazy. And when it starts to go off the rails, I'm gonna be like, oh well, I see that we've got this file over here that's completely unrelated to what you asked me. Let me go update that as well. That's where I'm just like, what are you frigging doing?
Have you had the Cursor memories that get suggested at the bottom left?
I don't.
So it'll start suggesting memories now. Yeah, you haven't had that happen?
No.
Well, one of my memories that it added was whatever it calls you, agent or user does not like it when you do something outside of the request that has been asked.
So the memory, that's cool that they're going to be adding memory. That's what all of these things need. Now, unfortunately, memory is still just...
It's nothing.
It's unreliable. Again, I think we're going to see a point. Someone's going to have some sort of a breakthrough where memory is just going to become this completely natural kind of experience.
And that's the number one thing that I think has got to be the biggest user requested feature, because it's not just in coding. It's what I want is I want to be able to tell AI everything. And then I want it to, at the end of the day, give me a breakdown and I can approve that should go into long-term memory.
Right.
That shouldn't, because Sean's got, he was telling me that he likes ChatGPT because it knows him really well. And that's a really huge advantage to it understanding who you are, what you're trying to accomplish, how you like to accomplish it, all those things. And it just feels like sometimes you're just starting over new every day. It's gotten way better. It's amazing where we are today versus even just 6 months ago. But that's what I want is I want something that can continually build context for me and memories and get better,
So I think with, So ChatGPT is the best in my opinion in terms of the memory management goes, because again for me I've got thousands of projects, and at any point I can just be like, hey, do you remember Paperkeeper? And it's like, oh yeah, and it's like, here's all this stuff. Or I can be like, hey, what projects have I forgotten about? And it remembers all of it. So it does a really good job there.
With ChatGPT, the thing that I've noticed ever since GPT-5 came out is the model itself, we talked about this, the model itself is not as knowledgeable on purpose.
Right.
But really what ChatGPT has become is an app. And it honestly, as time, even Jacob and I were at lunch today looking some stuff up on the internet, and it's literally some of the stuff that you put into ChatGPT, even the UI that you get back is almost like a Google search result.
Yeah.
They're leveraging the internet more and more and more. And it to me, you can look at it two ways. One is, we just kind of changed the UI for searching for stuff.
Yeah.
Right? in some ways.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I'd say is like, we've pretty much already hit the limit of what AI can do right now.
Yeah.
Like, what new thing has AI done for you in the past 2 months that it didn't do before? Like, capabilities wise.
I mean, honestly, I think for the one that kind of surprised me. So I ended up, I have not done Claude Code yet, but I have done the Gemini CL.
Ooh, I haven't done that
Yeah.
yet.
So Gemini has their own now, which is their competitor to Claude Code, free,
course.
a million token context limit. So it can do a really good job of like, hey, go look at the entire code base of this and break down all my specs. So if you have a project that wasn't vibe coded, like I keep thinking about Nomi now, because like every time I go to any of these new AI vibe coding platforms, I say, okay, I want you to build a version of Nomi. And, a lot of them do, decent. But with Gemini, I mean, it understood the whole, because it's a big ass code base. It's like 9 years worth of code. And it got it and it broke it down and it was able to generate me these prompts. So like, it's actually a really capable. So I think the context limit and the accuracy, because again, when you really start stuffing a million tokens into it, it doesn't, it doesn't really do that well. But no, I would say that like I have been underwhelmed with ChatGPT 5. I've been using it. I've got a client that I've been doing this really complicated RAG retrieval system based on like all these proprietary documents and shit that they've got. I use 3 different models for all of my multi-steps to extract information, and not one of them is ChatGPT 5. It continually does not return results.
I wouldn't even consider ChatGPT 5 like an actual mainstream model. Like it's a version of ChatGPT's software. To me, I mean, obviously there's a model there.
Yeah.
Right. But
it really feels like, I mean, I don't like it from a creative side at all. Like from a creative side, it's a joke compared to 4.0. Like it doesn't even come close.
I have had, and sorry for my production quality, I'm really struggling here today. I think that ChatGPT 5 is way worse than any version I've used of ChatGPT in terms of the actual content I'm getting back.
Right. 100%.
But it's doing a great job, like I said, of leveraging things that aren't the model, right. Like going out and finding good articles and sources. And they're like finally already realizing, Google is probably doing some cool stuff here. We should figure out how they.
What's funny is like when all of this started, their first instinct was to use ChatGPT as a search engine.
Right.
And it was really bad at that.
Yeah.
Because like it had, early days, it was always like, well, it has no context of the newest documentation or the thing you're asking about that happened 2 days ago or whatever. But now it does. Right. So it's like, should we just shift to like, okay, it's a better, more contextually based search engine now?
No, I still don't think it's a search engine, right? Like, again, I think you can use it obviously as a search engine. You can get great results.
It's trying to be.
It definitely has a lot of aspects where it's incorporating search results into the overall experience.
Yeah.
But like, I think what Google's done, and I end up using Google now more that they've got the Gemini results out there. And I find that those Gemini results are pretty damn helpful. A lot of times, like I can just go and be like, small question, boop, get an answer. Okay, I'm dipping now. Yeah. Again, it's killing their search traffic, obviously. Like I don't look at my search results. I look at what the AI is outputting.
Yeah. Well, and go ahead, Jacob.
I was going to say we're seeing that is like we're not getting nearly the click through that we used to get.
And that's so the big thing right now is, and then this is starting to go mainstream in the capital world, is that like the capital investment that's going into these businesses is not returning the enhanced revenue streams that they thought it would. And in fact, they might even be disrupting themselves in terms of, creating problems where Google's core product just got basically axed because, they're like, well, we have to use AI because that's what the future is. But at the end of the day, like people are paying to show up in search results. And that's obviously going to evolve into, I don't know if you guys heard the news, but like Red Zone channel this Sunday. No. Okay. So Scott Hansen has disrupted the NFL like 10 years ago?
Oh yeah.
So there was always this amazing like cheat code for watching the NFL, and it just completely went under the radar. The NFL released it's called the Red Zone Network, and it used to just show any team's game that was in the red zone, if the team was in the red zone.
Yeah, okay? The most exciting part of football.
But it would show all the games. Mm-hmm. So if you had the Red Zone channel, which different packages would offer that as like a bonus, But NFL Sunday Ticket was like, what, $200, $300 or something?
Yeah, it's insanely expensive.
And basically, some people were getting this Red Zone basically for free based on their sports package. Well, everyone just started watching the Red Zone channel.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's where all the excitement was. Right. That's it. Cut to the chase. Well, they didn't have any commercials. So it was 7 hours of commercial-free football. Well, this year, Scott Hansen, Red Zone, is having full-length commercials. So they're skipping off. So that, that's a direct analogy to the AI search thing, right? Which is like Google's cannibalizing themselves. But, in the next year, you're going to see like weird things that maybe people aren't ready for, which is like, hey, have you heard of Starbucks for your next coffee? Or hey, watch this ad.
Well,
like, what are they going to do?
It makes you're right. Okay, you've got a product that costs a lot of money. It gets a tremendous amount of eyeballs. Well, what else is there besides advertising or cross-selling or promoting things? Like, it's going to happen at some point, but what form is it going to take? Maybe it's not a banner ad. Maybe it's the results are now tweaked because Pepsi has paid them more. So if you talk about what's the best soft drink, well, maybe Pepsi will be, I don't know, like.
So one of the ones that this is an idea that I was kicking around when I was working with one of the clients, I won't say, but they wanted to kind of kick around having a location-based kind of choose your own adventure on games, like choose your own adventure stories that would be location-based. And then what you do is you let people pay to be part of the story. And so you could see that happen. You could absolutely see ads being displayed on, any of these free accounts that you're doing the free, ChatGPT or any of that they would incorporate ads that would be contextually relevant to the content that you're talking about. And it's going to suck because OpenAI is going to do it. Then everybody else is just going to copy.
Yeah.
Have you guys played with Grok?
No.
So I find for the first time, somebody at Monon Works was like, I actually had really good results with Grok. And I'm like, embarrassingly, never used it. So I finally went and I signed up. They do have a free account now. You don't need to be an ex-user. And you can just go to grok.ai or whatever it is. The interface is 100% OpenAI. 100% just blatantly copied. I mean, so OpenAI is the prima donna that everybody wants to copy, right? And let's partly listen to the thing that I want to talk about, which is right now, OpenAI, Sam Altman during an interview said that they basically are sending chat information that is suspect to police departments. And so anything that you put into ChatGPT, you have to understand that it is not private. And if we're being honest, any AI system that's not just running local on your machine is very much not private, and you should not have any expectation of privacy. This includes if you go into temporary mode or if you delete your chats. They're not deleted, and the temporaries are still just stored in the database, just like everybody else. And anything that you go and you put into those, if anything is even remotely close to quote unquote illegal without any context of what does that actually mean, they can just send it off to the police. So just be aware of that as you're kind of going through your little journey with your LLMs, and assume that everybody else is going to be copying this.
Didn't Anthropic just change their policy where they're going to be using your chats to retrain their models?
So all of them, you can go into the settings and you can you can disable that your chats will not be included as part of the training. And that piece I do believe is true because it's covered within the privacy policy as well. So they'd obviously be legally responsible if they didn't do that. However, same thing's going to happen, I guarantee, with all of them are, because there's just there's a huge risk, like the lawsuit with the New York Times, with OpenAI and the New York Times. They're like, hey, we need to have all of this discovery stuff, and that includes every chat that anybody's ever had, right? And then all of a sudden, they have to basically give everything over for discovery. And, did this person ask questions about the New York Times articles and blah, 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 blah. So just assume that anything that you're putting into these things is not...
And here's where I would argue that this matters more than ever. So like, people, in the past, they would be like, well, it's the Patriot Act. It's to stop terrorism. It's people, it's pedophiles.
Right.
Right. Well, now it's like there's people. I just heard a story of a woman who's from Britain who had an arrest record. Yeah. Right. She's been a citizen of the United States for 37 years, and she's sitting in a prison in Louisville right now.
Yep.
Because ICE detained her.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's scary.
And so like, okay, let's talk about, oh, well, it only matters if you're doing something wrong.
Right.
And it's like, well, that's all a bunch of fascist bullshit.
Exactly.
Right. Like literally you can't trust anything that's going on right now. And unfortunately, if they want to use something against you, they could. And I think honestly, it preys on the weak.
Yeah.
A little bit of stuff. It's like when your grandma and grandpa started using Facebook. Right. Like all this stupid stuff they were putting out there and just, and like the people that are using this platform and they're like, they have no concept of like privacy. They're not used to this technology platform. They're just putting it all out there.
Right.
All right. Well, think about the conversations they're having with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff's probably mortifying, and there was like a news thing that was like this guy's wife was like super concerned because he was addicted to ChatGPT. And it was like, well, they probably in some ways opened up this new like line of questioning angle, all the self-glazing that it does, right? All that stuff, opening that up to, someone who is of a potentially education level, technological sophistication level, where it's becoming this, you're the prey.
Yeah.
And that's not really the intended use of all this stuff. I don't think that Sam Altman thought that people would like use this to like, have conversations to justify their existence, their even suicides.
Yeah. That kid last week killed himself. And I think he was like chatting about it. And eventually the context got so long that ChatGPT kind of broke down with like some of its safeguards. Cause it's supposed to like, hey, stop the conversation. Right. This isn't appropriate. Like, you need to go seek help.
Yeah.
Gemini's really good at that. Anytime you ask it legal advice, it's like, okay, here's what people say, but I'm not a lawyer. You need to go talk to a lawyer. Yeah. Similarly, this kid was just like talking about it long enough over however long the conversation was. And eventually it was like, okay, well, here's some ways you could do it. And like, he ended up doing it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, who's liable for that? Obviously, like, they're going to say, oh, no, I mean, it's whatever.
Clearly.
Like, what was it? The video games, or the what it was in the 90s where everyone was blaming.
So Ozzy's Suicide Solution was a big one back then, and it was there's a lot of overlap, I think, there where the songs were basically saying suicide's a solution, and somebody kills themselves, and then the parents are like, well, it's Ozzy's fault, and it's like, well, no, it's not, and it's not ChatGPT's fault either. Again, it should have done a better job. Now, what's funny is I just saw this on Reddit the other day. What it looks like now that Claude's doing to kind of circumvent this is that as the context chat gets bigger and bigger and bigger, they just start injecting a 5 or 6 paragraph prompt that basically continues to reinforce the, hey, do not, if somebody is showing disassociation from reality, do not continue it. So instead of them letting their model break down after the context starts getting too big, they just keep injecting the same damn prompt into your overall messages. And it's pretty big. But that seems to be the way that, and they go very specific about mental health and things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how these companies deal with this. But again, those are all going to be lawsuits. And once again, like all the chats and everything are going to be part of it.
I think that there's a revolt against like long running AI prompts too, right, where if you actually read into it though, it lacks insight. That's why I'm like bullish on like AI enabled software interfaces and less bullish on like the model being the solution and like coming up with all these answers and reasoning, because it's just this like advanced pattern matching thing. And it's being prompted to like read your tone. It's like, okay, this guy really wants me to tell him that this is possible.
Yeah.
Right. And I really need to just do whatever I can to just, or write this paper, but it's going to write it in a way that's like, it's going to sound like the first read through, it might be like, this seems like reasonable content. And then the second and the third and the fourth read through, you're going to be like, this sucks.
Yeah. Right.
Because guess what? You're not smart. You're just a pattern recognition software. You're not creative. You're not shit. You just really have a lot of information and you can spit it out really quickly. And at the end of the day, like the creativity, I'll put any like author, director, writer, like I'll put any true creative up. I'll put you up against any of those guys any day of the week.
Yeah. And I think you're right. Like it's masquerading as a reason. They even say reasoning model. Well, it's been proven it's not a reasoning model. It can't do anything novel. It's a very sophisticated type ahead or a autocomplete, right? And it's really good at if you have patterns. That's why I like it. To your point about like assisting frameworks or pre-existing structures. I have a bunch of components and I need to put them together. Good at that. Good at that.
Right.
Gemini's coming out with Google's coming out with Gemini for Google Home. Google Home has always been like pretty lackluster of like turn off the lights, and it's like what lights? So it might do all the lights, or if you say a room, well, you better have it grouped properly or whatever. Like you have to have it dialed in and configured properly. Well, it's exciting that maybe there's a world where you can just be like a little bit more freeform about what you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
Which I think is a great application for it because it has context of your network and your mesh and everything that's in there.
Yeah.
They can say, what are you actually trying to accomplish here?
So there's two things that came up with. So the reasoning argument has been because of the white paper that Apple put out about the reasoning. Apparently what happened though with the way that they did these things is that these tests ultimately just ran out of context length. And so then they just couldn't finish the test. But if you actually gave it like so Anthropic basically took it and then they released a counter argument of theirs saying that if you actually ran it properly and you didn't just let it run out of tokens, that it would actually solve the problems that it was having. And then the other one that came out was, and this was from I think OpenAI, that it solved a new mathematical.
Yeah. I read that.
Did you also see though that the thing that it solved was so the thing has already been solved. It solved it in a different way, but it wasn't as good as the one that the human had already solved. So it's kind of like, we're at this point where we just don't even know what the fuck intelligence is at this point.
Yeah.
And,
no, that's a good way to put it.
So it's kind of like, deep research, sorry, real quick on that though, the deep research feature in ChatGPT, I will say is pretty damn cool. So I had this one thing where I had to go basically do take an existing platform that's out there and say, okay, here's all the features and functionality, and here's how much it would cost to build this in-house for one of my clients. Right. And so I'm like, okay, well, let's just see what happens here. So I go to ChatGPT in the morning before I leave for work. And I'm like, here's the website that I need, or the platform I need to analyze, go extract all the features and functionality. And then I want you to break it down in terms of here's the company's, here's what their development staff looks like and all that. How long? By the time I got to it took like 25 minutes for it to complete it. So by the time I got to work though, I had a huge document that broke down everything. It was too much to a point where I'm like, all right, now give me that and I'll go break this thing down into something that I can actually read. And it did a really good job. Like, I mean, its estimates were off and whatnot, but enough that I was able to go and say, oh, cool. Okay, great. And break it all down and kind of reconstruct it. But I was really impressed with that deep research feature. So I will use that now when I have to do those things, when deep dive into it.
It's almost like we are not defining it properly. Right? Like we know that it's unbelievable at not only finding new information that it didn't even have, running that through its model, analyzing it, or just referencing its own model from your inputs and making its own determination. Like all those things are unbelievable, life-changing, game-changing features, right? But I think that there's this, like, it's got to go back to the folks or the people or the assumption that there's some sort of like magical intelligence here. And maybe we need to define that better.
Yeah.
Because, people are like, oh, they're smart. You're so smart. Well, they try really hard. They retain information. They studied. They just, they are recorded a lot. They practiced recording information and they can play it back really fast.
Yeah.
But in creativity is really kind of where intelligence,
it gets muddy.
It gets
really
super muddy, right?
Because again, I'm an idiot. Like for the most part, from an academic standpoint, I am an idiot, right? Like I'm a 2.0 GPA kind of guy. I failed at school. Like I was not good at it. However, creativity wise, being able to take a bunch of things and see how they fit together and all that. Like, so in those instances, I think I'm pretty smart when it comes to that kind of stuff. But, just true academic stuff, yeah, I'm an idiot. But again, like these LLMs are good at academic stuff, but they're not good at creativity. I mean, the stuff that they create is pretty uninspired, right?
But like, isn't that just like kind of the same as like the bookworm? Like, where's the bookworm going to go when they need to solve a problem. They're going to go and read the book and see what the book says.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So these LLMs are bookworms.
They're bookworms.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, like the creative concept, the creative aspect is like, I think it's a talent of not that many people. Right. And I think there's creativity and then there's execution of creativity, which is like this two totally different concepts. Like there's people that come up with ideas all the time. They can't implement them.
Right.
But I think that maybe in some ways we aren't giving these platforms enough credit for what they are capable of doing, but we're also not giving humans credit for what they're capable of doing.
Yeah.
And that's why the answer is right now is human in the loop, mister. Exactly. That's right. That's in your email signature. Yeah. Right. Like that's the value.
Right.
And, I think that if you look at the enterprise that's spending billions of dollars, right? Like they're trying to go and say, how can I use AI to eliminate human beings?
How about 4,000 people from Salesforce?
4,000 people from Salesforce.
Yeah, just 4,000 people. And the CEO, I forget his
Mark
name.
Ben.
He is proud about it. He is absolutely proud about it. That AI is able to go and kill 4,000 jobs of his company.
So real quick, if you're Salesforce and you're selling agentic AI with Matthew McConaughey and what's his name from Cheers? What's his name?
Norm? It's not Norm.
Woody Harrelson. So if you're Salesforce and you're spending millions and millions of dollars on ads and you're selling it with McConaughey or selling it with
Woody,
right? Like, and you don't within a couple of years have a riff.
Yeah.
Like you're literally going to fall flat on your face. He has to be the change he wants to see in the world.
Oh, you fucker.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they have to be the company that lays people off, because if they don't do that, that means that the shit they're selling there's no back, right? So they have to be the ones who are like, yeah, we don't need all these people. Right? We don't need all these people because look, we use AI. It's like their stupid little thing. This is what makes AI, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't help it.
That's McConaughey. It's what AI was meant to be.
That's pretty good, McConaughey.
But it's like, I mean, and he's sitting there going, so I don't think that is real, because that company is just a different breed.
Yeah. No,
right. But it's happening all over.
Right. No.
My buddy just texted me about Oracle.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting laid off.
Right. Yeah. No, it's there. There's definitely going to be the bloodbath is coming. I think what we're going to see is a massive layoff, and then you're going to see a bunch of companies hire back. Right. We're going to have another Doge experience where everybody's going to come in and be like, I don't think we need all these people, and then all of a sudden shit's going to go off the rails, and they're going to be like, well, we need a lot of those people, and they're going to end up hiring a lot of people back. It never will be the same amount for sure. But I do secretly hope that these companies that are doing this do have a catastrophic failure. I really do.
Yeah, I just think that there has to be some sort of white collar discrepancy percentage change in the workforce over the next 50 years to where, humans may not need to sit at a computer and type as much as they did before. Right. And they might need to be more active, doing things, producing things.
I hope that's our future, man. I was doing yard work this whole weekend, and I love creating on the computer. Yep. I love it. I love building stuff. I love tinkering, and computers are great because you can build it and throw it away, and my back's not hurting. But I was just moving a bunch of mulch and just kind of like daydreaming a little bit, and I'm like, man, this is way better. Like, as much fun as I have tinkering with things, I always enjoy myself a lot more when I'm out in the woods or like working in the yard or whatever, and like building with my hands. Maybe that's just also a product of like, I'm sure people who work in the construction industry are not like, oh, I want to go home and work with my hands as much. But like, yeah, I hope the future is, the promise of AI was more productivity with less, right? Like we can do more with less. And as we've talked about many, many times, like I'm a firm believer in anytime we increase productivity, well, we get a little, maybe we get I was talking to a buddy this weekend of like, oh yeah, we can like be a little bit more productive in our day-to-day lives, but the big companies get the lion's share of it, right? And that's kind of what you're seeing here is like, whether it's justified or not, they're going to downsize and lay off. No more juniors, no more the mid-level people that aren't contributing enough. It's only the best of the best that can leverage these tools and do more with less. Cool. They're probably working more hours, probably not getting compensated anymore. The money. I mean, the corporations do, which is,
and name a company in the Dow 30. And then you can just assume that you probably know what they are. Name one of them that isn't probably at some level reliant upon consumption of the American consumer.
Yeah.
Right? So if they're at some point the bottom drops out there.
Yeah.
Right? Like at some point they go, ooh, there's no demand or there's no, there's no supply, there's no demand, there's no nothing. And that's, I think that's the real risk of AI is that you're creating this third non-economic participant that was never factored into Milton Friedman or any of these.
Did you hear what the Robinhood CEO said the other day on a
No.
podcast? He was like, I don't know if this future is very appetizing, but he was like, hey, there may be a world where we don't have jobs anymore and our job is literally to invest, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, I love to invest and I love tinkering and options and all those things, but I'm like, I don't think we want a world where most people's value is trying to leverage assets for more. First of all, that means if you don't have assets, you don't have a job.
Well, it's like Mellencamp said, you take away a man's dignity, he can't work his fields and cows. There'll be blood on the scarecrow and blood on the plow. You know what I'm saying, though?
Totally. So I do not think, again, like if I had all the money in the world, right, I'd still be building things.
Yeah.
I'd still be creating.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't see, now again, does it change what I would build? Absolutely. Right. Because it allows me to go do other things and whatnot. So I hope that's not the path that we're towards. But even if it is, I'm not stopping.
Well, the path would be, here's how that path would go down. That path would go down this way. It would be economic data around jobs, which, by the way, I have a big jobs report tomorrow. Huge jobs. Okay. So huge job number miss, right? And then you have economics start to put the numbers together and they go, there's no purchasing power in this economy.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay, you have to wait you have to wait till a midterm election, right? And then they blame the Republican Party, right? They blame whatever the incumbent party is.
Yeah.
Right. And then, the challenger has to be a regulatory. So the Democrat, the challenger would have to be Democrat. They would have to run on an anti-AI, completely anti-AI platform, a pro-jobs platform, really a platform based off of going back to where things used to be, which is what we just went through, but it was all a fucking lie. Right.
Right.
But you would have to have and this is what the EU has been worried about for years. But you would have to have a extremely regulatory pro-worker, pro-jobs revolution. And I don't necessarily think that's what anyone wants. But I mean, I think they might have to.
No. I think they should want that.
Well, in terms of like having the government fix it for everybody.
Yeah.
But that's where this might go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what people think. But like, the EU has way more protections for workers and unions and they have more time off and paternity leave and all those things. And like the downside to that is like you don't have as much like corporate upside, right? Like,
well, that's why people that live there, there's less of a gap. There's less people.
Yeah.
Which is another thing.
It's more homogeneous.
It's more homogeneous, but it's also culturally accepted that money isn't really the goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Happiness. Yeah.
And I think, I mean, I asked you guys, do you think that, because of all the strife and just the experience and the age of the culture in Europe, do you think that they've actually just figured that out where America hasn't? In terms of where true happiness comes from?
Yeah, I think
we're
still under the illusion of the American dream, and we still think I'm doing well, but I think there's a big portion of the population that like thinks like they're going to be a millionaire one day or billionaire. They're like out there defending these billionaires, and it's like, yeah, you're never going to see that amount of money ever. This is not applicable to you. You're protecting somebody that is actually robbing you because you're holding out hope that might be you one day. I mean, that's probably a simplistic way to think about it, but like we're so caught up in like this idea that we are the land of opportunity and there's all this upward mobility and we can do anything we want with a can-do attitude.
Right.
But the reality is, like, actually would be better if we had more assurances that the work we're putting in is being reinvested back into us in long term, which is just hard to think about, I guess. But
I just don't ever, with the way that we are culturally here, I just don't see it happening.
No.
I think the result would be potentially tough for people to deal with. Let me ask you this question though, Brandon. And I'll ask Jacob the same thing do you think that, go back to the financial crisis, 2008, let's skip forward to 2015. So for the past 10 years, do you think that, I mean, just your sense of the economy, do you think do you think it's been a land of opportunity?
That's a good question. I think it's a land of opportunity for the right type of people, and that there's a huge swath of the population that it hasn't been. And it's not necessarily to say that they're wrong for not seeing it.
Maybe a certain type, not the right type.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, I think it definitely has been. I mean, again, I think any opportunity that we've had since the 1800s, that there's all opportunities for people to take advantage of, to make money, to grow, and to do all this stuff. However, it does seem that, like, the ones who really do break it out of the park and turn into the billionaires have done it through a bunch of very suspect actions. And almost always at the peril of the working class.
Yeah, they're always selling a dream to somebody. And like MLMs are my favorite example of that, where it's like, oh, look at this great opportunity. All you need to do is sell this product and blah, 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 blah. Product's overpriced. It's essentially scalping your friends and family and your network for profit. And what do you get in the end? And those are obvious ones that people still fall for. Or not fall for, but like when you're desperate and you're being told you don't have to work that much, you can work from home, freedom, your own schedule, your own boss, Uber, or any of those.
Yeah, but think about some of the factors though. You have that let's go back before 2015 after this. So the last 10 years, housing market through the roof. So if you start a home services business, you should have been making money.
Yeah.
If you're a realtor, should have been making money. If you're more in the mortgage business, you made money. If you got a degree in tech,
money,
you went to Purdue, you went to MIT, or even some of the Rosal,
even the shittier schools,
even
like
the
Rosal,
shittier, right? And maybe I mean, even calm down a little bit from like the finance, right? They're making money. I mean, I would argue that in the last 10 years, a lot of people made a lot of money.
Yeah, but the question would be, how many didn't?
Lots of people didn't. And I think that's been a growing problem in this country.
Right.
Not 10 years, 20, 30, 40 years, but
in our circle, absolutely. Right. However, our circle is kind of,
I mean, our circle is, you're looking at the tech industry, the tech startup. I mean, that industry is, people don't even know what to do with it at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the state of Indiana coming down on our main VC and saying they can't even exist anymore at this point. You've got, most of Y Combinator's startups are all job eliminating companies.
Yeah.
Like they're literally just trying to capitalize up job elimination. So those aren't economically positive companies. And so all these economic indicators made a lot of people a lot of money. Go back though, 2008 to 2012, 13. It was not a land of opportunity in this country.
Oh, no. That's when I graduated college, and I was a student coming out with, just hopes and dreams. Like, it was like, what am I going to do? Right. There was nothing for the entry level people. So I started my own business.
Right. Well, but again, I think that's the.
But exactly. Did you see what he said at the end there?
Yeah.
I started my own business.
And I actually was going to say this earlier. So like, you were talking about the big corporations are going to keep pounding down and extracting information and money from people. And eventually what they're going to do after all these layoffs is all these smart people, and they're doing it now. I don't know how many people I've seen on LinkedIn starting their own consultancy or whatever, but like that's what's going to happen. They're like, okay, I don't have any other options. Well, I have information and ability to do these tasks and help these people, so I'll go make money doing that.
Yeah. No, I think 1 billion startups, that's going to be the result of this.
Yeah. And I still go back to 2008, 2012. People, it wasn't just in tech. People started restaurants. People reinvented themselves. The hipster movement, right?
Right.
Doing more. And that's one of the things that is really powerful, which is like rejecting the concept that you need tons of money and operating off of less. And that's what I don't think the corporations want that.
No.
They want people to spend tons of money, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, there's probably some cultural shift that's going to normalize us a little bit. And that might be a good thing. And maybe there's a lot of people that work in jobs that they might not feel that they're making a huge difference. And maybe that this will create the urgency for some of those things to happen, but something is happening. Yeah. And I guess my argument at the end of the day is that the purchasing power of the individual will be less, especially when we have inflation, stagflation, and it's going to cause a problem. And I think people will blame AI.
Oh, sure. Yeah. AI is definitely going to get blamed for a lot of it. The one thing I think that we all fail at keeping in mind when we think about how the future is going to unfold are breakthroughs, right? Like, again, we wouldn't have really anticipated what AI came in. Like if we would have been talking 5-6 years ago, we never would have guessed that this is, or even cell phones, like even back in the day, you never would have made the connection that the cell phones are going to become the mobile network for all of the mobile internet, right? Like it just wasn't there, but you have these breakthroughs that come out that all of a sudden just change the game across the board. And I don't know what that looks like. Cause again, you don't know what that looks like because it wouldn't be a breakthrough.
Well, and it's just like my favorite rapper, Deltron. Crises precipitate change.
Yeah.
And that we are in a crisis. Mm-hmm. And it's not a bad crisis right now, but it's a crisis of purpose.
Yeah.
And I think there's enough awesome shit out here in the world where people can create a lot of purpose. And I think that one of the things that needs to hold us together is like,
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's you never know. I mean, the market has run up so much right now and interest rates are still high and all that.
What we don't want though is we don't want Donald Trump to tell everybody how to feel about it.
Yeah. Right. Well, it's great. It's wonderful.
It's I am the only one that can save you from this peril.
Yeah.
That's the fucking problem.
So they made that deal with Intel. The US
they bought 10%.
Yeah. And
what are we doing?
Trump said, I own Intel.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, we own Intel. Dude. First of all. Second of all, like, isn't that communism? Like, what are we?
Yes.
Well, I think it would be fascism.
Well, state-owned, state-run.
That's, I mean, socialism, communism, dickholism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, either way, like, okay, let's actually do that. I own would be fascism. The government owns would be socialism.
Right.
Communism would be.
Well, I mean, China is a communist capitalist society, social.
Right.
Like they own. I mean, they actually have quite a bit of success with that because they can just dump endless amounts of money and investments into it. They don't have to worry about the payback for long term, right? Like whereas companies. I mean, there is obviously some upside to that, but like,
Trump just sits there and watches what China does, and he's we need to. Well, why did we have to have the big military parade, right?
Yeah.
Like, by the way, our military parade compared to China's military. Did you guys watch any of that? Dude, it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my God. Like
that's where we don't want this to go. We don't want it to go where people don't feel like they have hope.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's where I think like I hate to say this is like, I shouldn't even mention this, but like when I drove down for your bachelor party, I drove down by myself and I ended up charging my Tesla.
Yeah.
And like, I just watched people come in and out of this because it was at a Burger King.
Yeah.
So I just sit there for 30 minutes there and back, sit there and watch the way? I did have it my way. On the way down, I had my way. But like, I'm just watching, people in and out and, go into this place. And obviously it's not the best, things, but I'm just sitting there and I'm going like there's like a third or fourth generation of people in this country, even affluent people, that it's like, culture and identity is really important. Like if you're Italian, if you're German, if you're this, if you're African, if you're from Japan, if you're from China, if you're from India, like they all have these like cultural things that lock them together, and family is really a big part of that, right? And I feel like in America, the family thing got messed up somehow.
It does, but we are trying to bring back the white pride. So if you're white, you're allowed to be proud of it now, even though really you should just be proud of the heritage
You should be really thinking, and that's the thing is like your third, fourth generation of people stopped making that recipe, where they stopped grandma stopped becoming like grandma and grandpa are no longer the leaders of the family.
Right.
Like everyone got, the family separated and those are the things that tie people together and during really tough times.
So you could absolutely see a future where all of the corporate worlds and everything that we've set up here just collapses, right? And that the only thing that you have to go back to is the family, and that you have these little compounds, you have a bunch of tiny houses on the compounds.
And I will say millennial families, from generally mid to even lower middle class to upper middle class families, like, dude, the parenting is so, in my opinion, good.
Oh yeah, and what you're seeing is the dads be way more involved.
Oh yeah,
in the kids' lives, which I'm hopefully one day maybe I'll be a dad.
And you'd be a great dad.
But I like that. I totally agree. Like people have started to take a step back and like, what's really important? Mm-hmm. Like my job gives me a lot of satisfaction. I love what I do, and family. I love helping my family out and all those things of like, yeah, let's go back to our roots of like, let's just do things that's within our control and our little.
And have you noticed, like on like social media? I mean, I'm on certain algorithms, but like, there's so much actually good information that gets shared on Instagram.
Yeah,
oh, yeah. Like I watch people like build cool like farms and like, chicken coops, and like I watch people make pizza all day because I love making pizza. But like, there is a whole positive angle to all this information sharing, which is like, you know what I mean? Like, there's parenting advice. You would have had to like go and get a book. You know what I mean?
You'd have to go talk to the parents.
And you would have just been like, what did I hate about that? Okay, don't do that.
There's something to that though. Yeah. And I think that has influence. And there's like, alcohol is drank at the lowest level since 1939.
It's cool to be fit now.
It's cool to be fit. And I think that you can't underestimate the long, like social media went from this like toxic thing to like, it's still toxic and, blah, blah, blah. But people are actually like, I feel like people are actually using it in different ways.
I think the culture too will get smarter about it, right? So like historically, like with our parents, right? You get on TikTok or whatever, and you just take whatever they feed you.
Yeah.
Right? You don't realize that there's an algorithm behind it. Now, a lot of these kids that are growing up and understand that they're just part of the algorithm, that they can actually modify the algorithm by how they actually interact with the technology. And so I think we will have just smarter and smarter and smarter as these kids kind of grow up, that hopefully they won't be as easily influenced by, these big corporate corporate companies that want to just like feed you whatever the hell they.
Yeah, I think that the generation of like our kids, like maybe my kids were maybe just a bit younger, they're going to be tougher. Mm-hmm. They're going to be smarter about certain things.
All right.
They're going to have seen certain things. I would equate it to like, I feel like I was just on the cusp of that, of like your generation that grew up during financial crisis, or even a little bit younger. It's like that a lot of those people were really tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It took me years to realize that I wasn't poor anymore.
Right. Oh, sure.
Because when I graduated, it was so tough. Like I was eating ramen and just go to my parents' house every night, which I was super fortunate. I had a really, really good network around me, and not everybody has that, but it was really like, I think it was like one day at a grocery store, I put a bunch of groceries on the conveyor, and I didn't think about what the cost was going to be.
Right.
And I was like, holy shit. Like, and that wasn't the day I turned around and was like, oh, I don't have to be scared anymore. Right. But like, I still, and my grandpa was this, like, talk about a generation that went through it. The Great Depression, he was a deals finder.
Yeah.
My grandpa was the same way.
Yeah, it was we ate minute steaks because they were cheap as shit, and like he was like he got steaks for us too sometimes, but like it was always about this 2-liter I got for 48 cents, and he was really happy about that.
That influenced the next generation of parents that were like, just go find whatever processed food is there at the grocery store because it costs less, and
right.
assume that it's like healthy because part of your balanced, complete, carcinogenic breakfast.
Yeah.
Well, our batteries are running low. We're out of time.
Technology's telling us to wrap.
Technology. I just got, this just in. Please do not publish this podcast. No, we're going to fucking publish it. All right. You guys.
Awesome.
Anyways, have a great one. We'll see you next week.